Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everyone that's here today. Today is April the 20th, and this will be our regular scheduled meeting. We will start out with our prayer and our pledge as always, and today Commissioner Gardner will lead us in the pledge, and Commissioner Green will lead us in the prayer first.
Father, as we come to this morning, we thank you for your blessings and your mercies. Most of all, we pray, thanking you for forgiveness of sin. Pray that you'll help us today to make the decisions that's best for the county. Forgive us before we fail you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we had a chance to review the agenda. Do I hear a motion we approve?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented for today's meeting.
Second.
Any additions or corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving along with appointments. Item A under the appointments today, first of all, will be the ALS Awareness Month Proclamation. Mr. Wooten.
Yes, sir. April is ALS Awareness Month. I will not try to pronounce what that stands for. I will get it very much wrong, but it's also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, who, of course, is probably the most famous person with that affliction. And so you had received a constituent request, and I heard from several of you that you would want to issue the proclamation.
Mr. Chair, make a motion we approve the proclamation for ALS month.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Moving to item B, which will be the county employee health insurance renewal. We have Brian Flynn here for the OneDigital. Go ahead, Mr. Flynn.
Morning.
Good morning.
Just want to do a quick review. I think you have a little information in your packet of where we are. We've got one thing that we have to finalize to push forward with this. But overall, the good news is we really didn't have an exciting year at all. Things kind of have been leveling off for us. Our 2024-25 plan was actually 10% lower than the previous year, and we're on par with that this year as well. So we're way under as far as trend is concerned for the last several years. We have seen across healthcare itself, pharmacy costs spike over the last several years. Ours is actually at a lower, we're 25% lower than we were last year. And now in where we are in the situation right now, we're starting to see a spike on the medical side of things. We are under trend overall for the year. Like I said, we are 10% lower than we were 2 years ago, even where we were last year. We are looking from a budget perspective of about an increase about 3%. We're seeing trend or medical inflation be close to 10% right now. So we're way underneath that as it stands. We've always had, I think you guys can remember back, a few years ago, we had a large list of high-cost claimants. It had a big impact on us. We made the transition from Blue Cross to MedCost several years ago. That list has really weaned down. From that, I think we have about a couple people on that. We've had one person exceed our specific stop-loss deductible, which is in great shape for us, not only for the current year, but also as a projection going into the following year as well. One of the things that we do need to make a decision on is the reinsurance. We're currently with a company called WellPoint. They have asked, and the market has asked as well, for a 0.5% increase, so 0.5% on the overall premium. So we need to have that decision made by the council today to approve that, to push forward, and those numbers will be with a new contract starting July 1 of this year. We're not anticipating any changes to the plan design, so everything's going to stay status quo. So as I started out, kind of a boring year for us, which is great for health insurance. We've had some dramatic ones over the last several years, but we're in a good spot again, 10% lower than we were a couple years ago. So any questions at all?
What does it, go ahead. What's that 0.5% come out to in dollars?
One second.
So Brian, you may have it there, had to zoom in, it's 927,000 right now for WellPoint.
It's five, yeah. It's 5,000. It's $5,000.
5,000?
$5,000, yes, sir. I had like a $3 million budget.
Brian, what's the, on the historical plane cost by your sheet, total cost PEPM, rolling 12 month at $1,200. Is that the amount? I know actually you recommend $1,200 set aside per employee per year, right? To cover the cost.
Our target should be whatever that PEPM is, and we historically haven't hit that target, and so we're trying to get closer to that target, obviously, so we're not having to.
Where are we at right now, and how much per employee we put back?
I think with the latest amendment, I think it is, it's closer maybe to 1,000 per month, so we're
Because now you're trying to get that to that number.
trying to, yes, sir, to get it closer to it, but, so otherwise, without having reserves set aside, you're gonna be short, because the math doesn't work out, but, just through, prudent budgeting and trying, which can be hard when you have limited, resources and options. You might have to focus on a COLA for employees, or school funding, or building repairs, or whatever, as opposed to focusing on health insurance in that number. So we're trying to balance it with all the other competing needs.
So we look at this too. So if you look at like a rolling 12, which obviously we try to capture that because obviously now it's going to work from plan year to plan year. As we look to roll towards the end of this contract year, which would be the end of June, we have our two biggest months are actually in the previous contract year, which is going to be April of 25 and June of 25. So those do come out. So there is an opportunity there for the rolling 12 potentially to get to that net 1,000 a month. We're projecting for this year at 1,044 as it stands right now. The rolling 12 is at 1,079 per month, with again April of 25 and June of 25 being the largest ones in the last 12 months. So those will roll off as we start the new
So
contract.
you're saying the rolling 12 now is like 1,079?
As a net cost when we take into
Net cost.
consideration of employee contributions.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Does that net include the pharmacy reimbursements?
It does, the rebates, it does. So everything that we capture as far as this is concerned is anything that comes back to the county. So that could be high-cost claimants with the stop-loss reimbursements, the rebates, and then also for that net number, the employee contributions they make out of their paychecks. So we're getting there. We're certainly getting there.
Actually, you're recommending to go ahead and do the recommended point.
Yes, sir.
What's the pleasure of the board then on that?
I make a motion we accept staff's recommendation to increase by the recommended amount.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Have any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Moving along now to item C, which would be the human service update, and we have Ms. Sarah Brewer here with us. Sarah, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Wooten and Ms. Robinson. Hope you guys have a good weekend.
Yeah.
Have had a good weekend. I hope that you were able to review the MOU data that I sent to Mr. Wooten. Wanted to talk to you about a few items that I noticed trending on that data. On the first page, we talk about the number of children who tested positive in the community. I've noticed that has been a pretty high number for the last couple of months. I wanted to let you know that one of the positions that we had, we reallocated it to be an in-home services worker. And that is a worker who's designed to work with the family before we get to removal of the child and try to work out any safety issues that we have. We also utilize a temporary safety provider with those children in order to work with the family to improve the environment of the parents in order to make that a safe place before returning the child to their home. So that is a number that I'm watching and I'm keeping an eye on. It doesn't mean that we take custody of every child that tests positive in the county, but it's a trend that I'm watching and I'm keeping an eye on and trying to problem solve with how we work with children and families in the community. Any questions about that? Another thing that I wanted to just kind of speak to was, if you'll notice, the number of children placed in McDowell County is significantly higher this month than it was last month. We are really working on getting children who we're working with their family if they're in foster care. The state has provided training, it's called SEEK training, and that is a new resource, a new way to find family with children whom we take custody of. As you guys know, we've talked about this, if children can remain with their families and it's a safe place, that's what we want. And we have really tried to hone in on that in the absence of licensed foster parents. And so we're really trying to explore kinship, safe kinship, while we try to work with the family through the court process. And so just wanted to let you know that that's something that we're really working on, really trying to grow foster parents in the community too. Also, one other thing, are there any questions about that?
I have a question.
Yes.
So family members, are they're current now, they're allowed to get a stipend or assistance,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So it used to not be that way, right?
That's correct. I think that's been in effect for about 3 years. It's a kinship payment that they receive, and it's just a simple form that we fill out to the state, and usually they get about $200, $300, depending on the age of the children, per month in order to supplement their income. So that's a great help to families who are interested in helping in this way.
Sir, how many children do we have in custody again right now?
89. Yes, sir, 89.
And how's our staffing in that unit right now?
Well, you know, the turnover is always really high. We had 2 employees who were leaving, and then we've hired 2 employees. I have a new one that's coming next week. And so it ebbs and flows. Right now, I have 5 vacancies in the Children's Services Department. Really eager to get trained individuals because the pre-service training that the state requires, unfortunately, for the next several months is on the other end of the state, which means we are sending our new employees, you know, to the other side of the state just to be trained before they ever can do this work. And so that's kind of a problem for us, and I have expressed that to the state in my conversations with them about the lack of training available to us in Western North Carolina. And so it helps if that people apply that are trained, and luckily the last 3 that have applied have had this training, so I feel like that has been a blessing. However, it's a constant struggle, Mr. Walker.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions about the data or questions in general? I want to let you guys know that April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and our county missed the Wear Blue Day. So in order to honor that on tomorrow at 10:30, we're going to the courthouse along with our community partners, and we're going to wear blue, and we're going to take a picture. If you guys are interested or have time in doing that, and just spending a few moments with members of our community who help prevent child abuse, we would appreciate your time there.
What time is that?
10:30.
Are you wearing light blue or dark blue?
Well, I think the blue shade is like
Carolina blue.
Carolina. I think you can wear
think
whatever
wear
blue you
blue.
want.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's a royal blue that typically is that color, but we wear all colors, all shades of blue. At this time, I'd like to invite Weyland Prebor to speak about the Fall Prevention Initiative, which is a collaboration between the Senior Center and the EMS.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Sarah.
Good morning, everyone.
Well,
Now, do you all see the slides on your screens? Okay, great. In summer of 2024, which seems like a very long time ago, the McDowell County Senior Center, along with McDowell County Emergency Services, applied for a grant through the National Council on Aging for their Innovations in Fall Prevention Programming Funds. We were awarded $75,000 based on our proposal to look at using AI in residents' homes to help them prevent falls, specifically looking at older adults. Through this program, we had 67 individuals in the community that signed up, and surprisingly, we had 62 that actually completed the program. The program was halted and delayed. It should have ended in the summer of 2025, but due to Helene, we were able to get the grant to continue through the end of December 2025. So the data I'll talk about today is relatively fresh. It was compiled in January. So why do we focus on falls? In front of you, you have some information about the high cost of falling and the personal impact of a fall. But what we know from the CDC research is that about $80 billion a year is spent on medical expenses due to falls. Falls are the leading cost of injury-related death for adults age 65 and older, and 1 in 4 older adults reports a fall every single year. Beyond just having a fall, the impacts are much more than just the fall and the medical involved with that. It's actually part of a person's independence and how they can lose that after a fall. So after they've had a fall and serious injury, for them to be able to do their daily activities of living, such as cooking, cleaning, moving around in their own home, can become difficult. The emotional impact is also really a significant factor, and it's part of something that we looked at with this grant. What happens after a person experiences a fall is they have a great fear of falling again. What that does, it causes a person to limit the activities that they normally participate in due to fear of a future fall. So why did we hone in on looking at an AI technology? Well, we were presented with the information through our local McDowell County's Fall Prevention Coalition about a program called Dwell Safe. This is an AI program that specifically looks at the home a person lives in and the rooms that they constantly use during a day, such as bedroom, living room, bathroom, things like that where they have a lot of use. And it looks for issues in the home that can cause, or possibly cause a fall is what I should say here. So what's really nice about the AI technology, let me explain how it kind of worked in the homes. Our community care paramedic staff, in most cases this was done through EMS staff members Shannon Jones and Jacqueline Fox, who did a tremendous amount of work on this project and helped it to be successful. During an initial visit to the home, they would go in using a tablet computer with Wi-Fi connectivity. They would scan different rooms in the home. That information was then sent to DwellSafe to be put through their AI technology and also reviewed by an occupational therapist to also visually look at the home from a human perspective to see where issues are at. From that, in the second visit, the individuals that selected to be part of this program were given the information about issues in the home and also things that could be changed to make their home safer. And finally, they did a third visit where they would, after they've done home modifications or made any changes to the home, and at that meeting, we'll talk about the data in a little bit, they were also, at their first meeting, they were given a fear of falling questionnaire, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and at the end they were. And the results are really surprising from that we'll talk about. I want to just go over some of the data. I'm going to skip ahead here. So I talked about 62 clients going through the program. 34 of those had experienced at least one fall in the previous 3 months before participating in this project. Among those, 8 clients that experienced a fall before starting the project did have at least one more fall while participating in this. So what we gather from the data on this is that there needs to be more strategic interventions for certain people. In essence, we had a couple of clients that had 3 falls in the previous 3 months and experienced 3 falls. Both of these experienced it during the project, so something very serious is going on in this situation. And just making simple changes in the home isn't going to address those. But encouragingly, 28 of the 34 clients that had a fall did not have a second fall while participating in this project. Now, some of the changes that were made to reduce this fall risk, funding from the grant was utilized to purchase items such as grab bars, specifically more used in some places of the home, like the bathroom, but also shower chairs, raised toilet seats, handrails, threshold ramps, motion sensor lighting, which you would not believe how important that is. For those of you that, like myself, might have to get up in the middle of the night for various reasons that we don't need to talk about today. This slide here is why the importance of this project is so specific, and why, I'm going to talk about a little bit later, why this is now replicatable for other communities. People are asked questions such as, do you fear falling when you're taking a shower? Do you have a fear of falling going up and down stairs? Do you have a fear of falling if you go out to social events such as church in the communities? And people were assessed and given a value based on those first visits. Well, after the second visit and after home modifications are put in place, they were also given this test again. What we found out was, out of the 62 people, now we had 6 that had an increased fear of falling, which is based on those that did experience a fall while they were participating in the project. We had 3 individuals with no change on their score. But this is what is important. Over 85% of the clients overall had a reduced fear of falling from when they began this project to where they finished this project. What that means, not only just to the individual having reduced fear, but more importantly, what this leads to is people continuing to participate in their normal daily lives. Going out, being independent, doing what they need to have a better quality of life. Partnerships improve lives. What we found with this project was the collaboration between the McDowell County Senior Center and McDowell County Emergency Services is invaluable. And we continue those connections well beyond this, and we had it in place beforehand. But what we can do is when we have a client through our senior center at need in the community, we can contact the community care paramedic program and they can help out. And let me talk about how they can help out. I talked about items being purchased during this grant. All those different items such as motion sensor lightings and handrails. Well, we had significant leftover funds with that program at the end of December. So McDowell EMS has purchased multitudes of those items that can be installed in a person's home to help them be safer. So, as I said, if we have somebody that may need that handrail or that shower chair, we have our partners with McDowell EMS that can provide that equipment. Another fantastic purchase through this project was they purchased binder lifts for the McDowell ambulances. A binder lift, if you're not familiar, but let's imagine an older home here in McDowell County, and imagine how bathrooms would have been set up at that time. Usually they're narrow, difficult to get around with, and when someone has a fall, getting them out of that location and onto a stretcher can be difficult. Those binder lifts are kind of these padded things with handles on them that they can slide under a person, and then a couple staff members can lift that individual out of that room and onto a stretcher safely, while trying to, if you can imagine what it does is it helps out the individual from further injury. It also helps out McDowell County EMS staff from them having injuries with trying to lift people out of difficult locations. So before you have a slide of an individual, her name is Mary, and we have permission to use her picture in here. Mary lives in the Old Fort community. No, she lives in McDowell, I'm sorry. She lives south of us here. And she loves to go outside every single day because they live on a farm and they've got a donkey and they've got other animals and they got tons of bird feeders and birds nests. Her and her husband love to go out and watch it, but she has had several falls trying to get from outside of her house to her porch. And so McDowell EMS Community Care staff, along with other McDowell EMS workers, went to her home, installed threshold ramps and a handrail right outside. She's actually in her picture. She has her hand on that handrail where she can transition from her walker to a chair so that she can enjoy her life. It may not seem like a major thing for a lot of people, but to her, this is wonderful for her quality of life. And McDowell EMS has done a great job in making those changes. And I automatically just jumped ahead. My paperwork here. I'm still old school. I still have to use paper. But what I wanted to say is, as we kind of gear up today towards our end of my presentation, is that what we can show is AI technology can be used for good in helping make people's homes safer. We have great positive responses from that through this. And what we've done is we've actually created a replicatable model for other communities to use based on what occurred here in McDowell County. I think we should be very proud. We may live in a small county. In my opinion, it's not. It's very, very large. But compared to the rest of our country, but we have produced great things here that other communities can use to help their clients out. And again, I just have to specifically point out Shannon Jones and Jacqueline Fox for the fantastic work they did to make this successful. And hopefully, as we move forward, and I just keep moving, advancing slides, is that we can encourage other communities to do what we've done. And after this project, it did finish up in December, the program is still helping people in this community. I'm so proud of the work that they have done and what we've been able to do. Do you all have any questions about the project that I can answer for you
Wayland,
today?
as far as the, you mentioned the ability to buy things that could help people in their homes, how would someone in the community who watches this, who do they reach out to be able to speak to someone to maybe possibly have some of those installed in their homes?
I think that's a great question. So for people in need that can't maybe not be able to get the objects, or this is another thing, sometimes people can afford the items, but installing them correctly in a home can be an issue. This is a good part to either reach out to myself, Weyland Prebor at the McDowell Senior Center, or reaching out to Shannon Jones with the Community Care Paramedic Program at McDowell EMS. Those would be the good ways, David, to get that done.
Thank you so much for this. One thing for people that might watch later, it's for older adults, individuals with disabilities, those managing chronic health conditions, individuals using multiple medications, or people with mobility or vision problems. So it's not just for the elderly who have a problem,
Correct.
you know, walking around. It's for a vast majority of people, and I think that
We
is
want to
awesome.
be far-reaching and trying
Yeah.
to help people. through the
So,
program.
like the individuals with disabilities, they would just reach out to Shannon, yourself, or?
Myself or
Okay.
Shannon Jones.
Okay.
Shannon Jones would be a great initial connector, but I'd also like to know how people are utilizing it beyond this project.
Yeah.
So even
That's
though
great.
the project is closed, is it still possible for other people to have the same assessment done of their home?
Now, that part I can't answer on the assessment side of things. We were under contract with Dwell Safe through the grant to get this done. Now, Dwell Safe people can actually pay for that on their own. The program is out there for them to go ahead and do it. But for items needed, I know that those are in stock with McDowell EMS at this time. Lynn, does that answer that question?
So if they can get it done through Dwell Safe, do you have a cost scale that you can present to folks if they call and ask?
I can get that information for you.
Okay.
Well, let me just say, Weyland, we appreciate all the hard work you do. Weyland has done a great job with our senior center over the years, and I know he certainly doesn't get much praise for his job, but on behalf of this board, and I think I speak for everyone here, we appreciate all the hard work you've done, Weyland, and we appreciate the love and compassion you have for the community, for the old people. And it's obvious that you do have that love and compassion in your heart for them, and we really appreciate it. I enjoyed the senior volunteer appreciation banquet the other night. It was just a very, very big success. I know with all the volunteers, and I think they all had a great time, and we appreciate the recognition that you gave to them on behalf of that, and just thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Any other questions? Thank you for your time.
Okay. Let's move on now to other business. Item A would be administrative items. Mr. Wooten.
Thank you. Just a couple items here. I've talked several times over the past 5 or 6 months about Community Development Block Grant dash Disaster Recovery, or CDBG-DR for the shorthand. This is funding, federal funding that Congress has made available to the states, specifically North Carolina for Helene, for recovery activities of a long-term scenario. And so counties and cities are allowed to apply for CDBG-DR funding for a number of things. But as we've talked before, actually one of those, perhaps tied to Mr. Prebor and Ms. Brewer, is related to the Old Fort Senior Center, also 911 Center, Animal Shelter that we've talked about. Those 3 items we've discussed for several years, some longer than others. But what we're hoping to do is take those 3 projects that are needs for us of various scales and try for the grant funding. And so if they don't work, we'll go to Plan B and C and D. But I'll note really quickly on the 911 Center, you have received information from congressional representation, Congressman Edwards, and then USDA, that $1.5 million has been set aside for that project, which is unfortunately not enough to build a center or even add on to our headquarters. And so we're trying to look for, again, additional sources. And then the Senior Center at Old Fort, we've talked for 2 or 3 years about doing a small expansion there to provide additional programming space. And the idea here would be for that purpose on days like this, but in disaster recovery, for additional sheltering space. And then lastly, on the animal shelter, again, that's a need. As I've said very recently, we put humans before cats and dogs, of course, but we do have a need to serve in that area under state requirements. And so we're trying, especially in that one, it might be harder, but we're going to try. And so I've got a resolution that would authorize us to submit on those 3 projects. And if something were to come along, water and sewer or something else, I would just come back and ask for authorization on that one.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve the resolution for the projects as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion on that. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you. Next is for ongoing operations at the Sheriff's Office. They have a larger staff these days, and they do a lot of good work, of course. But to do their work, they have to have vehicles to get where they're going. And so we have had a request come forward to purchase 9 vehicles, and there are various makes and models, all the way from Explorers to a couple of Tahoes and Traverse, different blend and mix. And the proposal is that we do a reimbursement resolution, which would allow us to front the payment and then be reimbursed when financing happens in a couple of months. And so the purchase cost would be $649,729. Again, that would be reimbursed to the county with financing at a future date, and then paid out over probably 4 years at that time.
Move that we approve the resolution as presented for the Sheriff's Office vehicles.
Second.
Okay. Motion second. Discussion.
Actually, we'd like to call you and just you started the list of what they were buying.
Yes, sir.
It'd be just nice to have just a copy of that so we can look at it.
We can
I
do
fully
that.
support the motion second.
Okay. All right. Any others? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Forward that list out this afternoon. The last item is, again, authorize back to Helene. I've mentioned the USDA EWP program, a lot of acronyms there. U.S. Department of Agriculture, Emergency Watershed Protection Program. It is a program I've heard it called the Eventual Watershed Protection Program because we're over 18 months beyond Helene, and we have done work in our watershed, specifically the waterways, right after the storm. But this is more of a long-term situation, and the emergency part of it is to remove debris away from infrastructure such as bridges, homes, businesses, etc. The good news here is that it is 100% federal and state funding, over $5 million. If there's any downside or bad news, it's a very complex program, but we'll work through it. And so this is a resolution that would authorize the application for the funding, and then we would proceed with securing an engineer and all that. We'll have to bring other things back to you, but this
Make
will
a motion for the resolution.
Second.
Okay, motion second, no discussion. Now, anyone that would have what they would consider need of this on their property could submit an application to the,
As I understand it from our soil and water staff, they have identified over 40 sites. And so maybe the question to me is it too late for anyone
well,
to
then
be
I
on
guess
this
so.
board?
I guess that would be.
I don't know, and maybe it's not, but I'll meet with Ms. Webb tomorrow. And in the meantime, I'll ask her, is it too late for someone, if they were missed in some sort of advertisement or knowledge or whatever, I'll get that.
Yeah,
question
see
to
if
her.
that's still available, because there may still be some out there that
Just one
would
minute.
have concern on that.
I also want to say that, and I know that we've said this several times on different matters, but I appreciate what you and your staff do to try to find state and federal money that does not require local match. And I know that takes a lot of your time, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a great point you just made, Lynn. A $10 million grant is worthless to us if it's a match grant. If we have to come up with that same amount of money, and so yeah, that we appreciate what you said then, and also what they do. Okay, so we got that
Need a vote?
motion and a second made. Do I hear? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion stands. Next, we move to the employee recognitions. Mr. Wood.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Garner had, I think, reached out last week, just sort of as a question about maybe current, I'll call them intangibles, perhaps, and how various departments and/or employee groups or what have you are recognized when it comes to, I think last week was like 911 telecommunicator week, and that's probably not what it's called, but and so Ms. Garner asked, I think we have a discussion about how to go about making sure as a board you recognize those, but also how we can help make sure you're aware of them. And so it's a little bit of process perhaps, but so it's on here, and however like the discussion to go, we'll go with it.
I think personally, if the clerk could, just see that we are notified as things like this come up, I think that would solve the matter. I think you do get notifications, don't you?
And one thing we have done proactively, especially in the last week, but before, and people get busy, is we're not always aware of everything, Ms. Robinson and I, and even with Ms. Presswood's help. And so we do need help from our departmental leaders of, we have this event going on. Ms. Brewer mentioned something tomorrow. That's really, I'm glad she did, of course, for you to be able to go. But sometimes It's just for a lack of knowing on the part of staff of when something's going on.
You're having, let's see, when do you meet your department heads now? You're meeting?
It's monthly, usually the second week. And so
It'd be good to have your department heads, anything they know, and it might be just good to do it, because that stuff's yearly.
a lot of it repeats.
A lot of it is.
The National
That is-
Library Week is this week.
Yeah.
We'll have something later on today about that. So
In January, they could go ahead and put out a list of what they know. And
Yeah,
then-
most of this stuff is already on record, so.
There's a lot of new things though with social media that you know, I know Madeline and I talked about trying to get a list together and just make sure we do recognize, you know, whatever day, week, month it is. Another thing I want to know is how can we go about if we buy donuts, we buy coffee, can you take Dunkin', can you take, you know, can we do that? I mean, I know I can do it myself,
Sure.
but I just mean as a board.
we currently don't have what I would call like we have a line item, and I mentioned this to Ms. Garner, like a bereavement category. And so if a family member of an employee, or an employee obviously, passes away, for decades we've sent flowers to the family. And so there's a recognition that way, which is a very unfortunate one, but also very appreciated when it happens. But beyond that, there's not been typically an accepted, like a budget or what have you for like you're talking about, like a box of donuts or a box of coffee or what have you. But it's something we could look into and speak to the finance director about and get some guidance on and bring back something as part of the budget process would be.
I know that there are department heads that, out of their budget, do something for their employees. And I think that in order to be equitable, that we need to make sure that all of our employees are recognized periodically. I don't want to see one department have something like that and another one not. So I'm with you on that.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
But if it's okay, we'll make sure we're getting the information from our staff on when these events are happening and have a purposeful discussion about, okay, this week is coming up, the third week in May, let's try to schedule your availability in something to where you can go out and it's about expressing appreciation to the staff, and doing it through a Facebook post or something is great, but when you're able to do it in person, that's when it means more. And so we want to make sure we're working with your schedules, because you're all very busy, Mr. Ellis as well, to make sure that is done and coordinated with you, and it's not, oh, by the way, tomorrow is something, can you make it happen? So we'll plan it out in advance.
And if there isn't like a recognition that the state or whoever just recognizes, like 911 or Social Worker Appreciation Month or EMS library, like that, if the directors you meet with can come up with something,
Sure.
I would like to go along with what Lynn is saying, them to come up with a day that we can recognize their people. If there isn't a national one,
Right.
we make up one, just to make sure that everybody.
There are a lot. We've been
Yeah.
doing the research the last couple of days. There's a lot of those out there, but there's probably some that people aren't encapsulated in.
What's the number for our county employment right now?
Around 650.
650.
Including all part-time.
There are some of the departments that, have more resources than others and can do more for their staff than others can. And not to say that their jobs are any more important than the others, but then you have some departments that, they just run in the red because that's just the way it is, and it's just a job that's needed that there's no real resources in that, returns to that. So, they are the ones that really need to be looked at, those that kind of get overlooked. And I know that some of the other departments, I do know for a fact, some of the departments that have the resources, they do things for their staff, and for their employees, where a lot of them get overlooked because there's no resources there for them.
We have our homework. I think.
Okay, thank you. If you'll take care of that, Mr. Wooten.
Yes, sir.
All right, at this point in time, we'll hear a motion, we go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-311,
So moved.
18.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're in closed session. Hear a motion, we go out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do I hear a motion, we adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.